Welcome to issue 233 of Marauder Champions Monthly, a podcast about Marvel Champions, a living card game by Fantasy Games. Here, we take a good look at that most critical piece of the game, the Marauders. We'll discuss those poorly understood characters, unfairly labeled villains, and their various plans to shape mutant kind and benefit the planet, as well as those so-called heroes intent on thwarting them. I'm one of your hosts, Daniel, and joining me tonight is Steve. How are you, sir?
Hi, Daniel.
What's wrong?
I'm feeling a little desperate. Last week I was very confident. This week I'm feeling a little desperate.
I wonder what could make you kind of flip like that.
I think it's because this is going to be our last MCM show.
Oh, wow. You know, you talking about your feelings, though, reminds me, we're joined by Mike. Mike, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I've had a week to simmer down. I'm doing great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and I took your advice from last week, Mike, where you said I should introduce you last. So I did.
Yeah, that's why I made it boring. It's not fun anymore.
You know, can't win. Can't win, Steve. Just can't.
I know that. Yeah. Well, I got to talk about my feelings first.
Yeah. So that's fine. That's fine.
That's good. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry you're feeling a little desperate, Steve. You know, we've been with these Marauders a long time.
We have actually quite a long time.
I somehow, though, I don't feel like I felt after hanging with Sentinels for a long time.
Yeah.
These
guys had backstories.
Yeah, it's been a little different. But yeah, I'm okay to let Marauders go into their particular sunsets.
Yeah, we did start this back in issue 225 on June 18th. So it has been 2 months of Marauders. Yeah,
it's a lot of marauding.
But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. All things must pass. And I'm sure they'll clone themselves and come back eventually for us later.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
Because they're not dead, of course.
They are not.
No.
Well, enough about that. Daniel.
Yeah, sure.
What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, you know, last week we had an email. We have another one this week. Steve, they're just flooding the inbox.
Yes, keep them coming, people. Keep them coming.
This is great. So this one comes from Matt. Now, Matt, well, we'll talk about it in a second. Here, I'll just read what he wrote. Hey, guys. I last wrote back in February of 2024 about how I had found your podcast and was working on catching up. I'm still working diligently to do so, but I had to pause issue 210 just to write. Daniel singing during the Magneto issue has to be the best villain song to date. I appreciate all you guys do for the community, and the show keeps my daily drive occupied with hilarity and good times. I'm looking forward to the day I finally catch up. Sincerely grateful, Matt.
And we discussed last week how those lyrics are mostly mine. So
that is great.
I mean, sorry, Billy Joel, but yay!
Yeah, you know, I like Zola a lot too.
Yeah, Zola's great. I mean, that was
I'm not sure which is my personal favorite, but it was a lot of fun recording and doing the Magneto song for sure.
Daniel, do you know how long you have to do the next one, by the way?
I'm thinking 20 minutes.
It's coming up.
You've got maybe a couple weeks.
I mean,
stay tuned, folks.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the second scenario, and there's only 5 scenarios, so it's got to be there soon. So,
ooh, who do we got left? We've got.
I should write it, hey?
We have Juggernaut, we have Sinister, we have Strife. So,
wow.
Yep.
Okay.
This is wild. Okay.
Well, we have something for tonight that isn't those things. So let's talk about tonight's show. This is part 2 of On the Run.
Steve, hold on. I don't think we were sufficiently thankful to Matt for again.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That was great. And
appreciate it. Steve, what did he write us back in 24? That he found us, right? And he's gonna work through the catalog. That's quite frankly, Matt, I'm a little disappointed. I feel like you should by now.
Should we caught up by now?
Yeah. February 2024. I mean, he's listened to 210 issues since February.
He's a champion.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Matt,
he's a
you're
champion.
awesome. Thank you for listening. Thanks for having us be accompanying you on your daily drive.
Now, does that include like the 30 episodes of Villainous too? I mean, come on.
Right?
So, it's like 200.
He's doing great.
He's like 250 shows he's listened to us like.
And the early shows were 3 times longer. Stuff is what's on your mind. So
yeah. And the audio was much worse. So
yeah, thanks for sticking with it, Matt.
Yeah.
Well, I'm often surprised that people do that.
If you can make it to number 11 where we interview Caleb, things improve after that. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Go ahead. See, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to say thanks to Matt.
no, I appreciate that. I think that was good. Tonight, On the Run, scenario part 2. What are we going to talk about? Holy cow. Is there more Marauder lore to talk about?
We've talked about them all, Steve.
Yeah, you would think we have talked about them all, but we have not talked about them all.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are even more people who are considered Marauders in the comics. They're just not in our game. So what I thought we could do is, we don't want to leave anybody out, right? No Marauders left behind. We're going to talk about a bunch of we're going to talk about a bunch of folks who are Marauders in the comics, and folks could maybe email us later on or talk in Discord. What do you think their character cards could look like in our game?
Why don't they even make them, Steve, and send them to us?
Send them to us. That'd be
That could
great.
be our next contest. Like the best cards for each of these remaining Marauders.
Yeah, if you want to do that, please do that. So,
And then Steve will make them real cards in the game, like he does.
like I do.
I've just made a contest that requires a whole bunch of work for you, Steve. I hope that's all right.
Zero effort on Daniel's part.
None.
but
None. I'll vote. I'll be one of the
Me
three
and the
that votes.
listeners have to do some work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You all
No,
work.
it'd be great. It'd
Steve
be great.
works, but I think it's a great idea,
It is a good idea. Yeah.
especially because these guys are wild.
Yeah. Yeah. About a dozen characters we're going to talk about real
that's
quick here through. So let's go. Alphabetical order. Ready? Ares. Ares. He doesn't show up until 2015. Okay. And we know that like the original Marauders are from the 90s, right? So this is a new Marauder, and he's a giant bighorned goat-like man.
Wow.
Yep.
Sometimes they're a little too on the nose.
Yeah, right.
He charges at things and he hits them with his horns. That's
so he's
what
like
he
Rhino.
does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. He's famous for being tasked to take down Nightcrawler, but Nightcrawler uses his ramming ability against him because Kurt like teleports Ares mid-ram into his own team of Marauders. Pow, he hits his own guys.
That is all. So, Steve, can I back up a little bit, more general sense here? What are the 2015 Marauders up to?
That is something you'll have to look up for yourself. I don't want to spoil it for you.
So you don't know either. Okay.
I don't know. No, I just know he goes after Nightcrawler. Yeah, come
Got
on,
it.
man. Jeez, you're
All
making
right.
me do contests,
Well,
asking about
no,
lore I
yeah,
don't know.
I apologize. I retract the question.
Okay.
I
Okay,
was
good.
just because they're just the same. Is this
Yeah.
like a team name legacy kind of like it's just
Yeah, so some of these guys are still like Sinister, still pulling the strings, and other ones are doing
Okay,
different things. So yeah, they're all pretty much fighting X-Men.
got it?
Yeah. All right. So there's another one called Azimuth.
Okay.
And she shows up at the barbecue that Scrambler has when he's like living his normal life. Do you remember
Okay.
that? And
Oh yeah.
that
Yep.
barbecue gets crashed. Mike, can you guess by who?
Who crashed a Scrabbler's barbecue?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it you?
No, it wasn't me. I was invited.
Was it the Magoos? And that's why you're asking Mike?
I got nothing.
No, I was just asking Mike because I thought he was cheating on the show notes.
Oh.
It's Deadpool and Gambit who screw Scrambler over quite a few times.
Deadpool.
Yep.
Lovely.
So she opens her mouth and it becomes a gigantic black hole, and she uses
Wow.
it to suck up Nightcrawler, and then she can like blast black mist out of it. So
Huh.
Okay,
interesting.
So where's Nightcrawler now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Is she another 2015 Marauder? Or is this or
Well,
is this back in the day because it's Scrambler, right? So
yeah, she shows up as Scrambler's thing, and she is involved in the Nightcrawler, so she is a more recent 2015 version of the Marauders.
All
So again,
What-
we have another 2015 one named Coda.
they all hate Nightcrawler for some reason.
What did he do?
I think Sinister must sick them after Nightcrawler because he wants his teleporting powers. That's my guess.
Okay.
But this guy's got bone blades attached to his
Okay.
arms that he like fights with. He kind of looks like a mummy, and he has like a really long snake tongue.
That's just too many things going on.
Yeah.
Mummy,
I don't
bone
know.
blades, and snake tongue?
Is Coda some kind of snake or something? I don't know. Is it
I
a
don't-
code word for
I don't
something?
know.
Not
No.
a name, not a snake reference that I know.
There's another guy named Hans.
Okay.
I can't say that without thinking of like Hans and Franz from Saturday Night Live.
Once again, I am Hans. Yeah, I'm Franz, and we are here to pop you off.
Anyways, this guy is bred by Mr. Sinister to be the perfect mutant.
Wow. Okay.
He ends up facing off against Sabretooth, and he faces him off with ease. He has super strength, super speed, supersonic flight. He has a healing factor. He can do an optic blast. But eventually he loses to Sabretooth, which Sinister then deems him a failure. And he gets traded away like a baseball card from Sinister to somebody named John Sublime, who's apparently... This is a self-appointed sentient bacterial life form that came into being billions of years ago.
John Sublime did?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't understand.
You still got that bananas clip?
Yeah, right?
So this guy has all these superpowers and his super name is Hans?
Hans. Yeah.
Love it.
It's Hans.
That's so good. Okay.
Once again, I am Hans. Yeah, I'm Franz, and we are here to pop you off.
I guess if you give him you don't want his ego to get too full of himself if he's just working for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's another one, Susan Hatchie. She's a Vietnamese half-sister of Karma, who we have a card in the game. She's pretty much just a skilled businesswoman with very mild telepathic powers, but she ends up getting involved with the Marauders. She only lives for 7 issues before her father kills her. No clones. So.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Mystique's a Marauder. You can go back to issue 181 or 213 to learn all about Mystique. This one I like. Prism. Now, Prism's in like some of the original Marauder stuff, so I don't know why we didn't get him in the game. He's basically a giant crystal. And during the massacre, he's like a fully crystalline creature at this point. And during the Mutant Massacre, he goes after X-Factor to hunt them down. He has a cool ability. He can like reflect the light from Cyclops' optic blast to make it completely harmless. Or he can like reflect it back the way he wants, which is pretty neat. But Phoenix just straight up murders him. She lifts him up, uses her mind powers, throws him against the wall, and he shatters into a million little crystals. Because he's just kind of glass after all.
Wow.
But he does have a total of 3 deaths because he gets cloned a few times.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. This next guy, Omega Sentinel. She is a robot mutant, like some mutant taken over by like a technovirus. She's forced to join the Marauders by the evil virus attachment. It might have had something to do with CrowdStrike in a Microsoft update. I'm not exactly sure. Nobody's sure if her mutant makes her evil or her technovirus makes her evil. Anyways, she's neither machine nor mutant. She's sort of just a monster in the end. So.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Daniel, this one we mentioned once a long time ago. Polaris, otherwise known as Lorna Dane.
Obviously my favorite. Yep.
Yes. She is the daughter of Magneto, who inherited his magnetic powers.
Nice.
Yep. She is eventually possessed by Malice, or Malice. And during this time, she leads the Marauders for a few months when they attempt to kill Madeline Pryor Summers, when Madeline Pryor and Scott Summers are married. The two, Lorna and Malice, end up becoming permanently bonded, which is a trick that gets played on them both by Sinister. So
nice.
Is this the same Polaris that's a card in the game?
Yep.
Okay.
That one does say Lorna Dane on it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So she becomes a hero at some point.
Yeah. I don't know if she becomes a hero when her dad becomes a hero, if she becomes a hero because her dad is not a hero, right? Teenage rebellion. I don't know the story behind her.
Isn't he a hero, Steve?
He's just unfairly labeled the villain. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Lorna. Love it.
Yeah. Sabretooth's a Marauder. We talk about him in issue 184 and 185. Sunfire. I believe we have a card for Sunfire as well.
We do. Yep.
Yeah. He's born into Clan Yashida. He eventually joins the Marauders. He helps Gambit hunt down Destiny's Diaries, which contains info on the future. He's also part of the Marauders' actions during the Mutant Messiah storyline. He's there, like, going after Hope. He eventually gets knocked out while he's on Muir Island. Others escape from there. He can absorb solar power, and he can generate plasma effects with it. So,
and he's a good guy, right? Like
he is now
or in our game or whatever. And is he the one that's in like that kind of the Teenage Mutant movie, which is kind of like a horror movie? It's got Anya Taylor-Joy in it.
New Mutants, I think it's called.
Yeah, Is that right? Yeah, maybe. Like they're in like a horrible
Yeah,
haunted asylum
she's
kind of
playing
thing.
magic.
She's
yeah,
magic.
yeah, and like
Okay, so
Wolfsbane's
he's
in-
there, I think. All right.
Yep,
Cool.
yep. And then there are a whole bunch of unnamed human soldiers
Who are Marauders. Okay. They get like a patch.
Yeah,
Right.
they get a patch. Yeah. They join the club. They might be like their Patreon supporters or something like that. I don't know.
Got it. So I'm thinking about Sabretooth and as Marauder. Isn't he on a lot of teams?
Yeah, he gets around.
Like, I wonder what this would be a fun little dive for someone to do, not me. What minion / villain is on the most teams in their career? Because a lot of these like kind of second tier losery ones, like you look at their page on the websites and stuff, and they're just like, and then he joined this team, and then this one, and like these guys just their job security must be next to nothing.
This episode of Daniel assigning tasks to people. Somebody go out and do this.
Well, Steve, there's so many people much smarter and better than me that can do these things quickly.
That's true. I won't argue with you, Daniel. Not gonna argue with you.
Thank you very much. Well, that's great, Steve. We just found out you just got 12 or 4,000 more cards you're going to make.
Yeah, great. Woo. Well, speaking of
Awesome.
cards, let's look at cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right, on the run. Second scenario in the next evolution box. 11 total cards. 3 setup cards that we already talked about. 8 encounter cards. 6 by title. Let's talk about those 6 tonight. And Mike, I think this one is for you.
Hidden in the clutter.
Yeah.
Because it's a condition, and that's close to obligation.
Yeah, as close as we're going to get in the set.
All right. Okay. This is an attachment. It has 2 boost icons, and it says attached to the enemy with the fewest remaining hit points. Forced interrupt. When any amount of damage would be dealt to attached enemy, place it here instead. If there's at least 3 damage here, attached enemy attacks the player who dealt the damage just placed here, and then discard this card. Okay. No, I'm parsing the rules here.
Yeah.
So if the enemy attacks you, and you have a player card that cancels the attack, you don't discard this card.
Okay, so when any amount of damage will be dealt to the attached enemy, you put it here instead. So it's acting as a shield. You got to fight your way through the clutter.
Mm-hmm.
Then if at least 3 damage is here, the enemy attacks the player who dealt the damage, then discard this card.
But
So
they
it's
have to take the damage as we talked about the other week, right?
But if the damage is on there, and the enemy attacks you, and you cancel the attack somehow, I don't know if a card exists for that yet.
What if it's stunned?
Yeah, what if it's stunned?
Okay.
Then they don't attack you. So then
It sounds like the card stays there.
It would cancel the whole forced interrupt, right?
it would, and the card would stay there until next time, so you'd have to put more damage on it.
Yeah. I think maybe the whole then discard this card means, yeah. Because you'll still be putting the damage out on it no matter what.
Yeah, and it doesn't, like, the damage doesn't go away. It's still there next time. You just have to hit it again.
Yeah.
That's how I would think it goes, but
Just keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I like the theme of it. They're hiding, right? And you knock over, I think somebody mentioned this before, you knock over the barrel they're hiding behind and they jump out and hit you, then run away.
It's so good. I mean, it's a shield, and we love these shield cards. But I think this is the first one that triggers an attack.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. Well, okay, there's another attachment, and this is the favored weapon. It gives them +1 attack. It has a weapon trait, and it says attached to Greycrow or Harpoon. Otherwise, attached to the Marauder enemy with the lowest ATK. The attached enemy's attacks gain overkill, piercing, and ranged. Hero response. After your hero defends against an attack from attached enemy and takes no damage, discard this card. 0 boost icons.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like how it calls out Greycrow or Harpoon, sort of like a generic weapon just for them, but then, okay, if they're not around, somebody else gets it. So that's kind of cool.
And they've got good attack values, too, which is nice.
they do, which is why it's weird that it goes to the lowest attack person, because who cares if they have overkill, piercing, and ranged?
Yeah.
Oh, well, with their 2-hit.
Yeah,
whatever. Whatever.
Yeah, they're not the primary targets, right? So,
You're right.
yeah, they're picking up Harpoon, and they don't have longitudinal object permanence
right.
or whatever it's called.
Longitudinal
weird.
object conversion. Come on, it's just rolls right off the tongue.
All right.
Yep.
Which you're likely to do, and some, losers got it.
Well, you have to defend because it has piercing, so you can't use a tough against it.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. That's all right. It's fine.
It's fine.
All right. So there's a couple side schemes to go with this one. The first is Bushwhack. It's got 3 boost icons, which we love. One threat.
One threat.
One single threat.
I bet it has a great when defeated, though.
I'm sure it does, because it also has a hazard icon.
Oh, yeah.
So when defeated, the player who defeated this scheme searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a Marauder minion and puts that minion into play engaged with them. Wow. And we know how bad it is to have Marauder minions in front of you in this one.
Yes. Yes.
So that's great.
Yeah, they're either guard or they're not guard, and they're causing the villain to scheme.
Yeah. That's a great. I mean, is it almost worth it just to keep the hazard icon out? I don't know. Probably not, but
Yeah, it's a good question, though.
it's situational.
3 boost icons in the deck. Yeah, that's.
It definitely, you want to time it. It's got good art, too. Like Grey Crow dropping down off the top of the wall and Domino's not paying any attention.
Cool.
All right. This next scheme is Pure Force. How many boost? It's got 3 boost icons. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it's got looks like an acceleration icon, and it's got 4 threat on it. While Blockbuster is in play, this scheme gains the Crisis icon, and while Chimera is in play, this scheme gains the Amplify icon.
Never.
And if you're not looking at the art, it's Chimera and her dragons. So
Oh,
I don't even know what it does. I completely lost track of it because I was just listening.
It does so many things.
So
Okay,
many things.
It depends, right?
Well.
And so, okay, the acceleration icon in this scenario, that's bad because there's so many ways to pile threat on, and you don't have any leeway.
Right.
But
Yep.
then, if Blockbuster is your villain, it's Crisis, or if he's in play, and if Chimera is in play and Amplify, that's great.
Yeah,
that is great. So it potentially has 3 icons on it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about all of these, like even the favored weapon, or this one is, it's calling out a Marauder who could be the villain of the scenario, or it could be a minion that happens to be in play as well, right? So some of these,
Yeah.
depending on your randomized villain start, are going to be far more impactful than others, based on that specific game, which is kind of cool.
I kind of wish it didn't get the Crisis from Blockbuster, but a hazard, because if he's out, you have to finish this.
Oh,
Which I guess it is wasting time and blah, blah, blah. And then the main.
I mean, the Crisis is the danger symbol in this scenario.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and he's kind of like the guard type anyhow. He's sort of standing in the way, so.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of this just being Amplify and acceleration, and you'd be like, okay, it's fine. I'll deal with it next turn, and then Blockbuster comes out, and it's
Oh, yeah.
okay. Now I really have to deal with it.
All right. Well, we have our first treachery of the set called Dizzying Deeds.
Nice.
When revealed, exhaust a character you control if the following enemies are in play. Okay. Arclight, stun a character you control. Riptide, take 3 indirect damage. Vertigo, confuse a character you control. 2 boost icons. Cool. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Love it. I really like that a lot.
Yeah. It could do nothing, however.
Yep. Well,
'Cause-
it always exhausts the character you control.
Yes. Yeah, okay, that's true. You always get somebody exhausted.
And for Mike and all of Mike's decks, that means him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm always defending.
But you're reading
I'm
up a lot too, so yeah.
I think it's neat. I also love how this set has all of the Marauders mentioned in it. They all get a little something, something.
Yep.
That's clever and wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's not the last card. There's one more, Tag Team. And there's a couple of these in the set. It's a treachery. When revealed, choose. Each Marauder minion engaged with you activates against you, or discard 7 cards to the top of the encounter deck and put the topmost Marauder minion in the encounter discard pile into play engaged with you. 1 boost icon.
It's great.
Now,
What do you
It is
pick?
Great.
I don't know. Some people would get confused by when they discard 7, thinking that the Marauder has to be in that 7. That is not true.
Correct.
It's like, yeah, you're not discarding 7 and hoping to not get a Marauder. You'll get a Marauder. So,
Yeah, like the Hood's ability, foul play says, discard 2 cards and put the first Hood card, discard this, not non-Hood card, discard this way into
Right.
it calls out the cards that are being discarded. This just puts 7 in the discard pile and then says, okay, is there a Marauder minion in the discard pile? So,
and remember, Cheaty Heroes, you can't choose bullet 1 if you don't have a.
And we know these Marauder minions all have, when they attack you, they either get bigger or they do some wonderful villainous thing.
Yep.
I don't know if I ever choose bullet point 1, right? Like, you're almost better off putting out a new guy and knocking him out. At least you have a round to try to take him down.
I guess it depends on how close you are to losing through threat.
Oh.
Yeah, because
then they make the villain scheme.
Villain schemes.
Yeah. But at this point in the game, if this comes up during the encounter card phase and you put a Marauder minion into play, the turn ends and you get your player phase, right? So maybe you can knock them out and then the villain will be attacking you. At least you have some time to deal with them. I mean, if you have 2 or 3 Marauder minions engage with you, are you doing number 1? I don't think so.
What if they all have Quick Strike?
Do any of them have Quick Strike? I don't think any of them have Quick Strike.
Was there not a card that gives Marauders Quick Strike?
There is a card that gives Marauders Quick Strike.
So
yes, you're right. They have a side scheme that does it.
That might change.
That would definitely change your. Yeah. There's such good stuff.
Jeez, this is such a good set. Well, that's the last card in this kind of small encounter set, which is why I guess you get 2 mods for it.
Well, 3 mods too, because you're required to play with the Marauders themselves,
right. And they're the only ones you're forced to, right? So
correct. Yep.
Yeah. So wow. It's great.
There's lots to love here. Lots to love.
Why don't you start us up on this love train, Mike?
Okay, so the whole villain scheming out thing, I like the way they do it. I felt Magneto was a little like the scenarios like Magneto where they just drop the threat threshold is a little heavy-handed, but this one, I don't know, it's just so neat. It's the cards themselves that are punishing you and for not being quick enough. The fact that any Marauder minion prevents you from or causes the villain to scheme, and you've got 2 cards, the tag teams that will pull them out and they'll engage you. A Bushwhack, which will bring 1 out. You've got a set of 6 other Marauders in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take the villain out, plus the Marauders that you put in if you're playing campaign mode.
Oh, right. Yeah, you at this point you probably have at least 1 extra for campaign because this is the second scenario. Maybe you have 2 at this point. Yep.
Plus 2 copies of Hidden in the Clutter that'll prevent you from killing them very easily. It's really well done, and like you said last week, Steve, the fact that it's very thematic, right? The villain's scheming, and no, you can't scheme. They're trying to get away, and you can't get away from them if the other Marauders are playing guard. So it works really, really well. And Daniel, I'm sure you'll love this. You're always talking about how some sets are too samey. Well, you've got cards in here that call out certain Marauders, and they're different.
Yep.
Sheer Force is different from Dizzying Deeds, and it's just
different from the attachment. Yeah, no, it's great. Absolutely great.
And we're playing with military grade, correct? That's one of the suggested ones.
One of the suggested, right?
Right. And again, that's got like the exoskeleton that's keeping them out. Another card that's forcing you to discard cards from the encounter deck to put out more things. You've got inhibitor collars, which are making it harder. You've got the heavy armament, which are making guys stronger. So yeah, there's a ton of good stuff. So
and the pace of the scenario is just fun. It's exciting. I really, really, really like this one.
Yep. And again, the other piece that we haven't mentioned yet is the way you choose the villain. Because if you're playing campaign mode, you remove the 3 that you beat up in the first scenario.
Yeah, that's
cool. And then you randomly draw from the others, but you don't have to. Like, you can pick from the remaining left and effectively change the difficulty of your game. I have picked out Greycrow because I was playing with an experienced deck builder and we just wanted to have a fun challenge. It was a great time. If you're playing precons, maybe you purposely pull out another one. It's so easy to change up the difficulty of this set without actually changing your modulars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, A's and sides, B sides, right?
Yeah, I have to, just like in the last scenario, I really like playing the B side villain with this, but on standard. Yeah. I think it works really well.
Yeah, the Mutant Slayers modular set, that has 2 more cards that go and get Marauder minions as well. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. And their side scheme, like Daniel said, gives them quick strike. Yeah.
It's so fun, and like in multiplayer, which is the only way I play, the only way I have played this one with James and Scott. You have to talk a lot. You have to figure things out. You have to there's timing things to consider. It's just works. It fires at every level. So good.
All right. So if you're gonna rate it, let's rate it.
I'm giving it an A.
All right. No surprise, Mike.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's give this an A.
Okay.
A plus. Is it deserving of an A plus?
It's not. Is it
It's
perfect?
no Mysterio. It's no Mysterio.
So if you can say that, then it's not an A plus.
Oh man, but boy did it get some bonus marks.
Yeah, it's good.
So where it loses a few points, I think maybe is if you're trying to keep it from the A plus, it set itself has 0 boost effects. It just has some boost icons. That can be a little like, oh, it's disappointing that nothing. You can kind of plan around that if you're using the suggested sets where it's just boost icons, not boost effects. So if a few of these were boost effects as well, right? You got to attach the favored weapon or the hidden in the clutter. Like then I think it pushes it up even further. But yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Well, what a note to end on, hey?
Yeah.
Truth.
Oh man, our last Marauder Champions Monthly.
Oh my gosh.
I think we start talking about like dart games and bocce ball now or something. Is that what we do? Yeah. Oh well. I don't want to do that though.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I guess the one shining glory, the shining light at the end of this is that I don't have to come up with any more acronyms.
Well, one more.
Okay, one more. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Mike can't muster up any more acronyms. I hope you enjoyed this lovely month. This has been a blast. I'm really glad we did this. Gave us a deep dive, and still we covered a lot of stuff, and I think we managed to make it entertaining as well. So hopefully you think the same way, and hopefully you're still listening. Or I'm talking to dead air.
I'm listening, Mike.
You can email us your thoughts. Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
Send your cards in. Send your card ideas to Steve at.
You can make Steve do more work at criticalencounterspod@gmail.com. We're Critical Encounters on Facebook, and you can find us on YouTube, Twitch, or Patreon by searching for, you guessed it, Critical Encounters Podcast. And on Discord, we are Vardane, Big Foam Loaf, and 102. If you like our show, tell your friends. If you don't like our show, tell your enemies. Prism, take us out.
They couldn't have gotten far. Let's shed some light on the problem. Move it, Marauders.